Yes, Kareem is a fantastic player, and I thought I played him pretty good, although I did pick up a couple of early fouls, which is, for me, only natural.
What type of defense or what type of play did Coach Nasalki tell you to use against him?
Mainly, my strategy was not to let him get the ball, and once he gets the ball in deep, there's really nothing you can do about it. He's just so fantastic player and jumps so much, there's nothing you can do. Just stop him from getting the ball, that was about it.
Well, how long have you had this habit of, as you jokingly referred to a while ago, fouling kind of early in the game?
As long as I can remember. I'm overcoming it now, but it's been a problem for me, but I'm overcoming it now.
What type of fouls were the refs calling under the boards? What do they look for?
Pushing. It really was a petty foul that they were reaching in front. It really, the main foul that's giving me a problem is reaching in front. If I cut down on that, I'll be okay.
And yet Coach Nasalki wants to stress defense in the building of this club, doesn't he?
Strictly defense. He figures defense is going to win 15 to 20% of our games. When our offense is not clicking right, the defense will.
The camp's been pretty fair so far, actually, personally for me anyway. It just seems now we've been at it a week and a half, and the body's just starting to kind of get a little run down for, maybe a day or so, and like we played 2 games on the weekend, and that just put a little extra strain on the whole body, I think. And I think a lot of guys are feeling the same way right now.
Well, you know, we have been working pretty hard, and the coaches have been pushing the players extremely hard. What is your reaction now? We've played a few hockey games, and we've had many scrimmages and inter-squad games. What is your reaction and that of the players as to the conditioning that they're in now as compared to, say, at the same time last year?
Well, I think overall, the whole general feeling is that we're quite a bit ahead of last year. I know, personally speaking myself, I feel right now that I'm in as good a shape now as I hope to be at the beginning of the season. I don't want to go downhill from here, but I feel real good right now, and I just hope I can just kind of level off until the opening of the season and then pick up from there again.
You know, I've got news for you and the other guys. You guys won't be leveling off. If anything, we're going to be, I think we've reached a pretty good peak now, and we're still on our way up. We had a couple of games recently, and the club did fairly well. What's your impression of some of the kids that you've seen, you've played with, and you've watched playing with the big club?
I think we've got quite a good bunch of kids here. There's a lot of kids out of college. They haven't got I don't think the hitting aspect of the game down the way it can be yet, but I think they're a good bunch of hockey players. A lot of goal scorers that, we need a lot of that anywhere. Any place you play in hockey, you need goal scorers, and we got quite a few of them.
I know that we're going to have a real fine effort on most of our games, and we're going to play with a lot of enthusiasm. And I think that everybody will prepare themselves to the best of their ability for each game.
Have you noticed more enthusiasm under this new coach?
Yes, sir. I think everybody, it's real easy to tell that there is a lot of enthusiasm, and our defense was really getting after people last weekend, and I think that's the kind of enthusiasm we're going to have to use this weekend.
Coach, what do your films tell you about Washington?
Well, they're a fine football team. They're a pro-type ball club, both offensively and defensively. And, of course, they've given up some points defensively in their last week's ball game. They gave up 35. But Purdue had a good offensive ball club. And, of course, offensively, they are the most explosive football team. They have Scott and Craig that are real fine receivers. And, of course, you've read an awful lot about Sonny Sixkiller. He's a fine passer. Sonny doesn't like to run with the ball much, but he'll drop back in the pocket. He's got a strong arm and a quick release. And he sure is accurate. Of course, those receivers catch balls, that are thrown anywhere around them. So they're a fine football team, and the thing that we've got to do is just go out there and really get after them and try to keep them throwing off balance.
Alvin, are you happy with your performance against Oklahoma last Saturday?
No, I'm not.
Well, now you did fairly well, 61 yards and 15 carries. What leaves you a little bit dissatisfied with it?
My fumbling, mostly.
Was it just a wet ball?
Well, mostly the west ball, but I think I could have done better.
Have you worked on it this week?
Yes, we have a fumbling drill.
Are you fellas ready for the Tigers?
Definitely.
Well, how are you enjoying your career so far at SMU?
Well, it started off pretty bad, but I intend to improve it.
Let's see. Now, Missouri has not had much luck this year, but they have a good defense. What kind of a game do you think it's going to be this Saturday, Alvin?
It's going to be a tough ball game. I don't think it'd be too many long runs. It'd be about 5-yard gain or something like that.
Was this expected? Obviously, there's been a lot of speculation in the papers, and I would imagine ball players speculate as well. What's your feelings toward Bob Short? I know he's your boss, but he's in a financial situation that many people feel he owes something to the city. Many people feel he owes something to his pocketbook. How about yourself?
Well, really, the guy has been great to me. He's definitely my boss, and of course I do what he tells me to do. As far as the rapport that we have had with the man has been none better. I've never known anything better. The guy's been great to me and all the rest of the guys. So he's just been great to us. As far as I know, the guy's a straight dealer, and he's taken care of me. And I like the guy, I really do.
You've played. The ball club has played a couple of times in Arlington, Texas. Any reaction to that area?
Well, of course, when we get there, it's the end of March, 1st of April. It's spring there. It's still kind of cool. It's a nice area. The people are happy for us to come there. It's the only exposure they get to Major League Baseball most of the time. And, of course, everybody likes it there. We've never been there before. It's a new place to go, and we enjoy being there at that time of the year.
Well, I really didn't know what to expect, Jim. It was just very disturbing news when it finally did come, because of the fact that it's really something that reflects on all of us, and I think it's something we should be concerned with.
Travis grand jury had some added remarks to their indictment, saying that in general that the legislators had spent too much time trying to make a fast buck instead of passing good legislation. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I don't think that's quite the case. It probably comes from some misinformation about what's going on, and I mean, I don't think that's the case at all.
Your name has come up several times as a possible Speaker of the House to replace Mutcher. Do you view your chances greater to become the Speaker now?
Well, yes, I think that my chances have been greatly improved, as well as everyone else's chances, other than Gus's. Circumstances have, I think, precluded Gus now from seeking to retain the office, and so someone is going to replace him. It's not a question of if now; it's a question of who, and I'm working very hard to try to be that replacement.
I think that any person, any elected official who has been associated or connected with and a part of the Mutcher team is going to suffer as a result of these indictments.
Do you have plans to capitalize on it right now?
Well, certainly. I think in Dallas County we have to get the message across to the people of the county about how much a part of the Mutcher team was our Dallas, or at least 10 of our 15 Dallas Democrats.
This is the area that has caused the Farmers Branch Jaycees to take the almost unprecedented step of opposing the City Council in an election coming up tomorrow. That election is hoped to let the City Council declare this a blighted area. It's the area near Interstate 35 and Valley View Road in Farmers Branch. It's one of the older parts of the city. The Jaycees have definite opinions on whether it should or should not be declared a blighted area. I talked to Charles Cosby of the Farmers Branch Jaycees about their opinions.
Well, we're talking about mainly, I believe, the old part of Farmers Branch.
Which is where in the city?
Well, it's at Valley View and 35 in this general locality.
Do you have any idea about how much land generally we're talking about?
No, I don't really. I've heard a figure of 700 and something acres, but I don't know if that's an accurate.
The Jaycees agree that the City Council has the authority to call this election. Why then are you opposing the council?
We urge the community to vote against it. We feel that it's giving the City Council too much authority.
Why?
Well, there's no boundaries on the law itself as to what areas they're going to call blighted and what areas they're not going to call blighted.
As J.C. Charles Cosby says, there's no doubt the City Council has the right to call this election, and if they win the election, that they have the right to declare this area blighted and subject to redevelopment. The problem is the people, many of whom have lived here for a long time. They don't consider it blighted. They don't want to be forced to give up their homes. So we'll see tomorrow when the results of that election are clear. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move, in what may be a blighted area in Farmers Branch.
The circus is on parade, and no one likes a parade better than those in it. As rains threaten downtown Dallas, the Shriners kicked off their annual circus with 14 performances starting at the State Fair Coliseum tomorrow. Parade is for. It's obviously here to stay with the Shriners Parade in town Dallas. This is Don Witkowski for Channel 8 News on the Move.
Well, I can't, to begin with, confirm or deny the rumor that he will put a woman on, nor could I really comment intelligently on the chances of a Mexican-American being placed on the court. There are two positions to be filled. My own intestinal reaction is that probably Richard Poff, congressman from Southwest Virginia, has a pretty good track on one of those appointments. Who the other one might be, I don't know. I don't know that Richard Poff will be appointed. Again, that's guesswork on my part, but I know that he's very high in contention.
Would you oppose a female on the court?
No, I certainly wouldn't, not just because she's a female. I would, in all probability, the probability is about 99.9% that I'll support whoever the president nominates.
I was a pretty active Republican long before I became mayor. If we go back to a good deal of history, I even introduced some of the candidates for Congress when some of the Republicans around town were afraid to be known as Republicans, when we had luncheons and so on. Yes, I plan to become more active. I think if there's something in the world you believe in, you should get in there and do your share, whatever that share might be. The dinner, of course, is a way of raising campaign money, and I was asked if I'd MC it. Of course, I'm glad to do it. Among other things, it's fun to be in a competitive activity.
In the month of August, 1,157 of animals such as these were put to sleep because the Humane Society just didn't have space to keep them all. They received all kinds of animals, and they are for adoption, but they just don't have room here in the shelter. They only have about 4 rooms, and they're limited to the amount of space that they do have. So what we're trying to do to help them is have a flea market sale out at Seminary South each Sunday during the month of October. And we're asking the public to donate items to the flea market sale so that the proceeds from the sale will be used to buy food and medicine for the Humane Society so that these pets can live a little while longer.
She's tall and slender and reddish blonde hair, about 5'3" tall, weighs about 100 to 105 pounds, and she had on a brown jean slacks, and her blouse is mainly orange, and it had a flower in it and a silver thread.
Where did you see her last?
When the two daughters went uptown to do some shopping.
And it was about where?
About 9:30, and this was at the market, the Dallas market on Pearl.
Is Kathy the type of girl that would run away from home?
Oh, no. No, ma'am. I'm sure she would never. There were no problems or any reason. She was very happy and very well-adjusted child.
The main thing, though, is a comparison between the North and the South. If you just take it isolated, of course, there's no place that's good as far as I'm concerned. But in a more time sense, of course, there's significant difference in the South. 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when I went back to Mississippi, a black couldn't drink water in Mississippi in a public place. And of course, today, you can run for governor, as the gentleman just asked, and no one seemed to get too upset about it, as well as enjoy any of the other rights and privileges that your money will permit. And of course, that gets to be a problem. But there's no question, I think, that the South is a more livable place than the North as far as blacks are concerned.
The area around the old criminal courts building here in Fort Worth is kind of sleepy and barren this Sunday afternoon. That's in direct opposition to what it's like 4 or 5 days out of the month here, as lines surround the building and back up on the sidewalks. The reason being that this is the location where welfare recipients come to get their food stamps each month, usually the day after they receive their state welfare check. As a result of the long lines and the waiting period for a lot of the recipients here, David Payton of the Community Action Agency in Fort Worth has suggested that the CAA take over the food stamp program. However, the director of the welfare department here in the county, Ralph Lewis, says he doesn't believe that that plan will work, and he explained why.
There's some federal guidelines involved and laws involved that specify certain people to be the certifying officers of this food stamp program, and that's it. You just have to abide by those federal guidelines, and those people simply are what we classify as the food stamp case workers. There's only about 10 people now who are actually authorized to certify for the food stamps, and those are food stamp case workers.
Could they be certified at all under the current law, the CAA?
I don't think so, because we can't. Not even the caseworkers in County Welfare Department.
The commissioners are opposed to the CAA taking over the food stamp program, mainly because they too feel it would be illegal. However, David Payton and the CAA plan to still take their plan to the commissioners tomorrow morning. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
A 5-alarm fire last night demolished nearly 1/3 of the trucks owned by Jones Trucking Lines at 6102 Maple in Dallas. The fire caused an approximate $100,000 in damage to the building and its contents. The first alarm was turned in at 8:21 p.m. last night and quickly produced 4 additional alarms, more than 90 firefighters, and 19 major pieces of firefighting equipment. Investigators have not determined the origin of the fire or the cause. Gene McIntyre for Channel 8 News on the Move.